Human beings are searching for the personal experience of reality. They are seeking to come to understand themselves, to find a reason for their own existence.
And so you go round and round and round, ever chasing the illusion that there is something outside yourself, outside your here and now, to be attained that will make things better.
No guru, no method, no teacher, and no nothing else either.
All right, welcome everybody. We are joined today with life coach Leah. Leah, how are you doing?
Hi everybody. I am doing really well today. Feeling great.
That's awesome. One of the first questions I always like to ask people is, what are you grateful for today?
It's interesting that you asked that question because my word for today is actually gratitude. So I actually started off my wonderful morning with sitting outside. It's a beautiful day in Cleveland, and I grabbed my journal and soaked up the sun and was writing down things that I was grateful for. And it's something that I practice and haven't done as much lately, but I'm getting back into it. It's calling me again. And so what I really realize is, you know, there's things I'm really grateful for. Like, I'm really grateful for my yoga practice. The shirt I'm actually wearing right now says, but first yoga.
Oh, nice.
So I'm really grateful for yoga. However, what kind of really helps me is also to go in even more detail and say, okay, I'm grateful, and to really focus on being present and being like, I'm grateful for that moment in yoga today where I was doing my spinal twist and it just felt really good. And it just felt like a relief of discomfort and pain in my body. So it felt really good to just feel good in my body in that spinal twist. So to get a little more specific, and that really helps bring up, okay, what's the energy? Okay, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling healthy. I'm feeling well in this body. And it just felt relaxing and comforting. So that moment of when I was just lying there and holding that pose of that spinal twist. So yeah, that's, and then a big thing I thought about this morning is gratitude. I led meditation yesterday. So it was a beautiful group meditation that we did, and it was just phenomenal, and it just keeps getting better and better. And so just so grateful for the people that were there, and that they were all people that showed up this week that were all practitioners of meditation. So I could take that meditation to a new level because they knew the basics of meditation. So I'm so grateful for our last night's candlelight meditation.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So I'll talk on the last thing you mentioned first. Like, group meditation is something I have very little experience with, but I have a feeling that the energy and the dynamic of that would add a lot to it. I have a personal meditation practice that I do, but it's I just feel that they would have a different energy doing it with people. And then oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's, I practice daily on my own. Even when I teach group meditation, I still meditate on my own every day to have my time, because when you're leading meditation or something like you're leading yoga, you know, you're thinking about so many different dynamics, and you're feeling into the energy of the room, and, you know, you're teaching, you're educating information across. So, you know, it just, you know, so it is a different dynamic, but it definitely, the group, I really am intuitive and kind of tap into the energies as well and say, okay, what's the energy that, you know, do people need grounded? I've been doing a lot of grounding for people. I've been doing a lot of heart opening, but it just, you play off the energy and you play off each other's energy. And it's just, it's, you can, you know, when they say two or more are gathered, you know, it just opens up to spread so much more energy. And we even tapped into like, okay, let's spread this love that we feel, this energy, let's spread it to the world, let's send it out there. So in that group dynamic, you have more people allowing themselves to transform and then, change themselves and then change the world at the same time.
One of the things that was coming up to me, that I want to ask your experience on this or your opinion of this. So when you have like a concert going, you have these multiple different instruments kind of playing similar melodies, but like different frequencies or different notes to make it harmonious. Is that kind of like what the group dynamic is in like a meditation? Everybody kind of, they're on a similar path or something like that, but they have these different vibrations that they bring, but it kind of creates this harmonious chorus overall. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like the way you said that, because I think we can think in so many things in terms of music, in terms of energy. Those are definitely our basis. But I mean, you have people showing up who are completely new to meditation, who've never tried it before. You have people showing up who are getting into it and beginning to practice meditation. You have people who practice every day that show up. And so I've been a school teacher for 10 years. I just put my educator hat and be like, okay, well, let's adapt this and, but get everybody to be able to, I mean, our purpose is to have a calm mind, a calm emotions, and calm body. So how do we get there? We take this journey and people are going to connect with different parts of it. Definitely. But it brings everyone into this harmony. So even as we're doing this in this group setting, it brings all of us into this harmony by the end. And when everybody's like waking back up and waking back into our bodies and, coming out of this meditation, I'm like, how do you feel? And just the responses of, oh, I feel at peace. I feel so relaxed. So we're all in this harmony. But we come as all these different instruments at different phases in our life, with different situations and different types of meditation practices. But it's bringing all those, like you said, that symphony, and bringing all those instruments and all those abilities and energies that people bring in, and then you harmonize them and smooth everything out, and everyone just feels good by the end of it. So
yeah, it sounds like a great experience. I'll have to join you sometime or find something like that locally. Living in Youngstown, that's not offered as much in this area. There is a group starting up though, here in September, so I might check that out too. One of the next questions I like to ask people is, what quotes kind of resonate with you the most? If you can't think of any off the top of your head, no worries.
Okay. Let me think for a second. I mean, any kind of Rumi quotes that are just, they just resonate with me so much. Just the wound is where the light enters you. I mean, there's just such profoundness in Rumi quotes. I mean, it's really thinking deeper. And, I know you said, Ross, that you enjoy philosophy, and it's, because it really gets to the heart of things. It gets to the deepness of things. So, I'm in love with Instagram. Instagram is awesome, and I definitely post on there. And so, finding quotes has been a challenge at times, but also because again, I want to get to the deepness of it and get to the heart of it, and really get like across, like, okay, what's so important in this life that people need to hear, and that I need to hear, and that we need to be inspired by. And so, Rumi is one of those people. There's also a guy on Instagram called Young Pueblo, and he is phenomenal. Every time I read his information, his quotes on there, I think he came out with a book recently, which, might be something again in the future, but it's just, so again, it's just powerful. It's, again, these things are about personal transformation and about growth and about change. And that's like one of my all-time favorite topics, is how do we transform? How do we grow? How do we get better? How do we step into a better version of ourselves? Yeah, and then I could go more into the Rumi quote if you want as well, the one I
Absolutely.
just mentioned. Yeah, just to, so the wound is where, you know, the light comes in. It's like we've all had wounds. We've all had things that we've been challenged by. And often what I notice as a life coach, as a healer, and, you know, just in terms of teaching and working with people is so many times people are bringing these big wounds that they have. And it's, you know, we often have one great challenge, but as we kind of move through that challenge and grow through that challenge, that becomes our passion. And so that becomes the thing that we often teach, or that becomes the thing that we become a, you know, inspiration about in this world. So there's so many inspiring stories where people have this wound, this challenge that they go through, and then they go and they speak out about it, and they talk about how they get over it, and they talk about how they, you know, climb that mountain and got to the mountaintop. So, you know, that's where the light comes in. So it's allowing yourself to kind of break open and break apart the wounds, the challenges, and empty out those things that don't serve us, those things that we just pick up over time that, you know, I've been using this lately, which is awesome, but it's basically we are receipt of all of our transactions. So where we are sitting right now, we are a receipt of everything, every experience that we have, every transaction, everything we've watched, everything we spoke, every person we met and talked to, you know, this is where we are. And so, you know, some of those things have, you know, led to these wounds, but now it's time to let those go and let this light in and let it fill up and heal and be able to thrive. Is, you know, my mission is to help people thrive, have a thriving lifestyle.
I think that that's a very good mission. One of the things that I really personally enjoy about Rumi, or people that are similar to him, is how they're able to condense very complex and intricate things of life into very subtle and like crystallized forms that are easy to digest, but like they're like those little shrink eating things. Like you get the little capsule and you put it in the water, then it expands into like this giant like dinosaur 10 times. That's a really funny way to put it, but
No,
I
that's
really
fantastic.
I really enjoy that about them. And then like that whole quote sums up my whole personal experience, really, from everything I've went through, just to reintegrating and actually becoming stronger from shit that some people never recover from. And it's one of those things where I attribute that not to me in any capacity, but more so to like the universe source saying, okay, this is what you have to do. And it's definitely a blessing that has a lot of, there's a lot of, I have to push myself, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. One of the things that I really like that you said too is like being the receipt of all the actions in our life. I forget how you phrased it exactly. That's one of the things I've really always thought about too. Like some people will say they would want to go back and change certain things in their life. But for me, part of my healing process was really getting in and accepting everything that happened to me and finding the wisdom in everything that I've been through. And it's funny that you bring that quote up, because about an hour ago, before our conversation started, I was reading, I've been trying to finish this book, Don Quixote, for freaking years. And I started reading it again. And one of the lines in there is, man is the child of his deeds. And I found that so profound, because it's like, wow, I really am, like, who I am currently is the result of the actions that I've taken. And when I had very low self-esteem and like I wasn't content with myself, it was largely because I was selling myself short, acting upon selling myself short, and like reacting to the trauma that I had encountered in my life, rather than integrating all of it and learning. That's part of the process too, don't get me wrong, is to like to be at that phase. But yeah, I really resonate with everything that you said though.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's, uh, so you mentioned about, accepting, what happened, accepting the past and everything. And I think that's, what I teach as a life coach too, is it's, we can go within and we can shift the energy around it. We can shift the emotions and that energetics that we have around certain traumas, around certain things that happen to us. And it could be, traumas, could be considered a bigger word, but it's even the little things that have an impact on us as well. And we can go, we're not going backwards, we're going within and really dealing with, okay, again, we're this adult and we're struggling with some things, or some things are coming up, or we're getting triggered and we're like, what is going on? And I just taught an emotional health workshop yesterday, and I was telling them, I said, a lot of these emotions you're having, it's just patterns that have developed over time from things that have happened to us. So it's going into that energy, because emotions are just energy. You're going into those energies. You're going into inside yourself and just, shifting those energies and, transforming those energies. And, what happened is what happened. So now it's just a story, or you look at it as you're observing a story in a movie. I heard a wonderful yoga teacher yesterday was talking about, what if we looked at our life as if it was a movie, like, and just become an observer and sit there and, because it's so important to observe ourselves. That's what we have, reflection. That's why reflecting time is so important for us, because we get to go into that movie and say, okay, what kind of stories am I telling in my head? What kind of stories am I acting out upon? What kind of stories are playing out in my life? And then that's the beautiful creation of why there's people on this planet, and why there's so many of us, is because they're also playing a part of this reflection. People are, we're reflecting as we're communicating with them, and it gives us so much feedback. It's all feedback and information. Our body gives us feedback, the people around us give us feedback, so we're just playing with this energy, receiving feedback and saying, okay, this feedback is awesome, I love this, I'm grateful for this. Like we started, I'm grateful, I'm excited. Or sometimes you're like, okay, this feedback is telling me that I got something going on, and okay, it's time to go within. It's time to shift this energy around it. And what I'm noticing now is, there's just, with all the planets going retrograde and all these eclipses, there's a lot of energy that's going on. So it's a wonderful time to, go deep within and really figure out, where are the wounds, and what's important to shift. And unfortunately, like, we're not often taught how to figure out the triggers or how to work through them. And so I think it's so important to empower people with this education. This is life skills and a life school. And so it's so important to learn how to figure out when you're getting triggered, and then getting to that next level of working through it and healing those wounds and healing those parts of us. And then we can really live, again, that going into that thriving lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. As a recovering addict, one of the things that I've encountered, I'm sure other people encounter it on their path too, is this desire to always want to escape from emotions, and having this understanding, this false understanding that emotions themselves are bad. So just always wanting to escape them. One of the things that I've really had to learn and practice in my recovery from everything is bringing awareness to it, like you mentioned. And a lot of the times it's like asking myself, like, what am I feeling right now? And then it's like understanding that emotion, then why am I feeling that? And then looking at the situation at hand. And then like having this level of honesty about it with myself, and open-mindedness, and like willingness to like really get in there, kind of like you're talking about. And understanding that 9/10 of the time, like why I'm feeling any certain kind of way about something that's unpleasant is because it's relative to like self-worth or things like that. For me personally, it was, and like not knowing my role in it or taking things personally that other people are doing. And then once I have that awareness, 9 out of 10 times that I get upset, it's not even really about me. And then when I can look at it and say, dude, like you're taking this personal, just let it go. That's incredibly liberating. And when I can't, just telling myself to like, okay, I'm a human. I have emotions. This is one of the like the gifts that I get is being able to be present with my emotions, sitting with it and saying, I know all the evidence in my life shows me I won't always feel this way and that this will pass if I'm just present with it and try to gain the wisdom or knowledge from it. It's kind of like this emotional guidance system too. Like this is stuff that I shouldn't be associating with, or sometimes this can be more trickier. This is stuff that I need to push forward to find some level of familiarity or comfort with it, and recognizing that my response to this isn't bad. I had an uncomfortable situation that conditioned me to respond this way, but these situations aren't as uncomfortable as I'm making them. I'm creating this in my own mind, really.
Yeah, I think that was very well said. So you definitely hit so many wonderful points of, yeah, I mean, emotions are healthy. It's healthy to feel, it's healthy to recognize. Again, it's, you know, as we were saying, it's feedback. So it's another part of the feedback loop to tell us what's going on in our life. And yeah.
Yeah, I certainly agree. So you had mentioned the whole life coach thing. Do you want to explain like who you are and what you do with that specifically, and what you offer people with your understanding of everything?
Sure, yeah. So I am certified as a life coach and holistic counselor. And so what a life coach does, so breaking it down, so a coach is someone who offers advice, guidance. My background is also, I've been an educator for 10 years. So I really so fully 100% believe in empowering people and educating and say, this is why we're doing this. And this is why we're doing this, and saying that. And everything that I coach and offer support and advice, I don't just offer that advice and support. I say, okay, let's learn why we do this and really get into the explanations and really educate people so that they can walk away and go tell somebody else about it. You know, so really simplifying things and breaking things down so that people can understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. And then in terms of the life part of life coach, so basically what I do is I create these personalized one-on-one sessions, and I can help people in any area of their life. So it could be any personal thing that they're going through, or it could be anything professional. So we can hit anything in relationships, we can hit anything with career, finances, we can hit anything with health, mental, emotional, physical. So we can literally go into any area. And basically what I help them do is we discover and kind of become aware of where are you stuck. Like, where do you feel stuck in your life? Where do you feel that, you know, things aren't going forward in, you know, in some particular way, or something you're desiring and you are just needing advice and that support to get there? Or you're just, I mean, when you're not living your dream job and doing that service and using your gifts, okay, well, there's something stuck going on there. You know, maybe you need to discover what your passion is, or maybe you already know what your passion is. How do I take you to the next step? So it's really me helping them discovering. So, you know, we're sitting there discovering, okay, what are you aware of? You know, really that awareness is that key to begin with. And then let's take that next step. Okay, are you aware? Maybe we need to go into the awareness step. and say, okay, let's allow you to be more aware of what's going on in your life. Where are you stuck? What are you struggling with? What are the challenges? And then let's start there. And then if they come to me already there, or at the next session, we say, okay, what's next? Well, let's figure out how to overcome these things. Let's look at, again, we do the inner work and we go deep within ourselves and we say, okay, let's take a look at this deeper and go into an approach of, again, breaking everything down, breaking things down into chunks. And I call it personalized sessions because it changes. Every session is different. So specifically, I'm trained my teacher had a PhD in psychology. So I'm trained specifically in going into the subconscious, getting to the deep root, using a visualization process and being like, where's the root of your challenges? Where's the root of your problems? Where's the root of where you are stuck? And let's uproot it and change that energy, shift that energy, and step into a new transformed version of yourself. Walk away feeling empowered, feeling like you shifted those energies and you can step forward. But I also have brought and studied and taken so many classes where I bring all these, it's kind of like a toolbox. So I kind of bring the toolbox to a session and say, okay, so one of my favorite things is sound healing and sound therapy. So sometimes I'll offer like vocal toning with my voice and bring in different energies for that person, different vibrations. Okay, maybe they have something, stuck in their system somewhere in their body. So it's helping them move and shift that energy, like maybe move through a health condition that's, something that means there's an imbalance and a stuckness of energy in the body. So, we might use sound healing, or we might use meditation or breathing techniques. So it's, I really call it personalized sessions. So I have all these kind of a toolbox, and then I also use intuition. I'm extremely intuitive. So I tap into their energy field. I tap into, okay, what emotions are they feeling? Because I can identify with, like, I can feel people's emotions very strongly. And I could say, okay, like, here's what you're feeling. Allow yourself to bring that up and move through that. So, I hold that safe space and in very much that support and just like, okay, let's work through this. Again, I guess, I kind of, it's sometimes it's challenging for me to describe what I do because it's so, again, every session is different. And I mean, but essentially it's like, what are you struggling with? Where do you feel stuck? And let's take you through that and take you to that next step.
I think that that's a very practical approach to doing it, because I wouldn't assume that you could have 100 different people come in and have everybody and have one standard methodology to give everybody. Like, you definitely do have to tailor it to individuals. And I think it's valuable that you explain the why behind stuff, because in my experience, it's very easy to fix people's problems and then tell them do this and it'll fix it. But when you begin to explain, this is how you fix it and this is why this works to fix it, it can allow people to begin to look for their own answers and then become like a self-advocate for their own healing. And not only, like you said, help other people on a broader spectrum with the information that you gave them, but help acquire other information on their own and kind of filter that through their own life experience and come up with their own unique approach, which is invaluable. Teaching people how to learn, like, and not just regurgitate information, is incredibly beneficial. One of the other things that I really enjoyed, I lost my train of thought. Happened to the best of us.
Yeah. But yeah, one size doesn't fit all. And every day as a school teacher, I saw that. And I see that when I coach, is one size doesn't fit all. And, somebody I've been coaching recently, he said what you were saying. He's like, man, like, you're helping me to the answers, but you're not giving me the answers. So he's like, you're letting me discover the answers on my own. So,
Mm-hmm.
I led him through this visualization and said, okay, well, observe the situation. Take yourself outside the situation and look at it as if you're giving a buddy advice. And what kind of advice would you give it? So, again, it's like, I'm going to show you tools. I'm going to, be your cheerleader and your support system. But yeah, I want you to be able to come to answers and results and be able to analyze it and be empowered, walk away feeling empowered. Like, okay, I discovered this. I understand why I'm doing this. And, it's practice. So it's practice. And I give clients homework, and it's, you can call it sometimes home play, because it's like, okay, what can you play with at home? What do you love doing? Do more of that in your life. So it's adding in these things. So my business name is Rewind Release Rewild. And so rewind means to pause and reflect. So that importance of pausing and taking that time to reflect. Release is that letting go and surrendering. So there's things that we have to let go of, things that we have to empty out, and then things that we have to surrender and just say, okay, like there's so much more than just my person. Trusting that things are going to fall into place, and that we're not in control. I mean, we're in control of our lives. We're creating everything, but there's also, there's so much more that's happening. There's so much more. There's all these people out there. If you believe in a God, if you believe in angels, I mean, there's there's so much more than just us being us. We're meant for so much more. And that rewild, that last part of my business name is like a huge part of it, because rewild is actually a scientific term. And I have a master's in biology. So when I was studying it, we learned about the phrase rewilding. And it's basically imagine looking at like this degraded land. So you're looking at this land that's kind of been destroyed and it's broken down and it's just imbalanced. And then to rewild it means bring it back to a wild, natural state. So you're bringing it back to this ecosystem that's balanced and it's thriving, and you have all your greenery. So imagine all the grasses growing and the trees growing, and then you have all the animals and their habitats, and everything is, interconnected, and this whole ecosystem is just balanced out, and, everything is thriving and working off of each other. And, so that's what rewild means. Now, in terms of how I see it, in terms of my business, is I help people rewild. So, come to me with, what feels imbalanced in your life? Where are you stuck? What's kind of been degraded? Maybe it's a health condition. Maybe it's a relationship that you're struggling with. So there's something that's out of balance, that's kind of out of place in this natural, in your natural ecosystem, either in your body, or it could be like your surrounding environments. And then let's work through that and, take this process, because think of nature. Nature doesn't just, the next day, it's not a whole thriving ecosystem if the place has been degraded. So it's okay, let's do a process, and then let's get you to a place where your ecosystem, your body, your mind, your emotions, and your environment, the people you interact with, the people you surround yourself by, the service and the job that you're doing in your life, and your finances are coming back to a place of balance, and you're thriving in your own ecosystem and the ecosystems that are immediately surrounding you. And then that, in the end, conserves the planet. So since, like I said, I got a master's in biology, but also conservation. So in the end, that conserves and balances out this earth, this planet that we live on. And, really just the earth can come back to more of a balance than, the current state that we are in.
I like your business name a lot. And I like the way that you explained all of that stuff on several levels. First off, there is a quote that I heard, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but it says like the path to enlightenment isn't in acquiring, but in letting go of things. And it's like and I could be butchering that quote horribly, but anyhow, I like that whole concept because for me, I picked up a lot of faulty ways of coping with life, and then through letting it go, I'm returning more to a more wild, natural state. But it's funny, I actually have to apply discipline to become to a more natural state because of how far I deviated from things. And I also like how you talk about it being a process and things not just happening overnight, because we live in a society that's built on instant gratification almost. And even in my own life, just yesterday, actually, I was at a 12-step meeting, and I was really digesting this concept. They talk about how we didn't become addicted in one night. So recovery takes time, like I'm paraphrasing that too. But like just realizing how it's almost 2 years free of substances, somehow doing like self-harm internally by being like, I'm not where I should be, but then realizing that I was getting high and like running from life actively for 20 years, but also the precursor to lead me to that lifestyle had been going on my whole life. So out of 34 years alive, I have 32 years self-destructing and only 2 years like being on this side of things. So it will take some time, but you also have to look at those incremental victories and like look at how far you go. Like when you first start any kind of journey of healing and stuff, I know for me, like it didn't seem like anything was changing, but when I look back on everything that's happened in 2 years, it almost gets like this snowball effect to where it starts out with like that one flake, and then it's like this huge force carrying you towards everything else.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, my boyfriend and I talked about that today, the celebration, how important it is. And, you know, for me, struggling a lot with perfectionism and wanting things to be perfect and feeling things are often not good enough. And, you know, that's something I've definitely worked a lot through. And, you know, again, it's something I've worked on and have made, you know, lots of progress with. But it's, you know, it's celebrating. So, you know, that's why I was, like I said, sitting this morning and being in gratitude and, you know, celebrating, you know, that meditation I did yesterday and leading that group. And, and then my boyfriend and I were talking about it, and it's like, we took it to another level. Cause he's like, celebrate it, even celebrate it more, like get pumped up about it. Like, I like to dance. So he's like, you know, just do a happy dance and, you know, bring more energy into that celebration. And he's like, we should have celebration parties and like just celebrating, you know, these mini victories, because it'll make us aware. Yeah, that awareness is so important, to be like, yes, like I did this, you know, this mini victory, and we need to be like, you know, this is awesome that I did this, and encourage yourself and build that confidence. And you know, I agree with you completely. You know, we're an under celebrated society, so yeah, that celebration is so important. And then, you know, something I teach people too when I'm life coach them is, let's find what you love, what you're passionate about. So celebrate in a way that feels good for you. So for me, it could be putting on some music and dancing. It could be, you know, jumping on my yoga mat. You know, for some people, it could be, you know, going and jumping in the pool and having a swim party. Or it could be people, you know, celebrating with going on a vacation. So, you know, it could be big things, it could be small things. It could be, you know, calling up one of your friends and being like, hey, celebrate with me. You know, just have a celebration moment. And so, you know, I think, yeah, it's definitely something that's so important to do. And definitely, yeah, I had that aha this morning where it's like, okay, yeah, I am celebrating, so I've made progress. But okay, I could take it to a new level and get more pumped and more into the energy of that celebration.
Absolutely. It's interesting how much we'll work hard for something, but then once we actually acquire what we're working for, we don't take the time to savor it. We're just like, oh, on to the next thing. That was great. Okay, next thing. And that, like, it's like, no, you have to do what you said, like really celebrate it and enjoy it. I think that that's very crucial. There's a lot of wisdom in that statement. It's something I need to actively engage in more as well. So this is going to be kind of a fun question for you.
Cool.
What superpowers do you possess, or what superpowers would you want?
Superpowers. Well, I definitely think one of my superpowers is definitely, this may turn into like a rolled up answer with a bunch coming together, but definitely being able to like read people's energy fields and read their emotions and be able to understand what they're going through. So, you know, I can really look at a person and I could read them like a book, and I could therefore utilize that and be like, okay, like, do you need help? You know, would you like support? Would you like, you know, me to let you know what I'm, you know, kind of tuning into? So it's a superpower of being able to read that energy field, being able to, you know, you can call it an empath, a healer, a sensitive. I mean, there's different words you could label it as, but it's that interpersonal relationship. It's that being able to understand people. So part of it's very natural because I'm a nurturer and a caregiver, and I've always been natural with helping kids, hence, you know, being a school teacher for a while. You know, and a part of it too is I've been shy most of my life. So I've had this major anxiety over social situations and just this deep fear of kind of judgment and people and all these types of things. But I just kind of I became extremely shy for most of my life. But that also made me an excellent observer and a listener. So, you know, another thing rolled up in there is being a listener for people, you know, a superpower of listening and being an excellent listener as I can read into their energy field and offer that advice and help and guidance. And then, like I said, just being naturally a nurturer and compassionate and really, you know, like, yeah, that natural nurturing of desiring to help people. My role model, I mean, kind of pretty much like, I haven't had many role models in my life, but Mother Teresa was my role model growing up. And just, I've always wanted to help people that were less fortunate and people that needed help. And so, you know, that's now I'm grown up, and guess what? I have that superpower. I get to help people every day of my life, and I'm just grateful for it. And I you know, I really believe in what I do, and I know that I'm good at it. I'm confident in it. And another part of that is I'm an excellent teacher. You know, I love teaching, and I'm natural at, okay, if you don't get it, let's figure out, let me explain another way. Okay, you know, let me make sure you understand it, and really, again, just teaching and educating. So yeah, so that, what else would I say is my superpower? Well, maybe I'll say the other question was, what superpowers do I wish I had?
Yeah.
That's the other question. Well, I love superhero movies. So definitely have thought about this question before. Flying is a big one. So flying, I think, you know, whether it be bird wings or just being able to fly, like I've been watching Supergirl recently, but not a Supergirl kick. I love Superman. So definitely flying. I think I think it'd just be so exhilarating to just be like flying through the air. I think I love being outdoors. I love being in nature. So just to be in the sky and, you know, I think it'd just be so invigorating to be feeling the wind and the air, like just blowing around me, and just being able to be above everything and just kind of see the big picture and see like everything below me. And I think it would feel so good.
That sounds awesome. So when you brought up the whole empath thing, it sparked one of the things I wanted to touch on earlier. So for me, like I definitely have that empathic ability also. And when I was younger, it was incredibly overwhelming because it's one of those skills that I think people have to refine. And not a lot of people understand that really. But having awareness of, are these emotions mine? Where am I feeling these? Where am I picking these up from? Um, is very liberating. And then also like not taking ownership of them, but being able to use that awareness to talk to people about how they're feeling. Because for me, it's like just by inflection, body language, even with somebody being quiet, just how they carry themselves, like I can really pick up on a lot. And I thought that this was something that everybody, just everybody could do. And it definitely wasn't the case. And then listening, like active listening, like being present and actually hearing what people are saying, that really is a superpower, because a lot of times people don't listen. And that's one of the things that, like, growing up, I encountered a lot personally, was feeling like I was never listened to, because people would talk over me and they wouldn't even have any kind of engagement in what I just said. It would just be moving on to the next thing. And it's like that ability to actively listen and be present, and hold space for another individual, so you can either help them navigate things or like just have that intellectual intimacy, is incredibly important. And then the whole concept of flying, I think that would be amazing. One other little thing flashed in my mind, compassion, or being like nurturing, or being there for people in that way too. That's kind of how I was brought up largely. I deviated from that at some point in my life due to my own choices, but it's funny to me to see how, like, as I'm older, to recognize that not everybody has that, and how that really is a gift to be able to have that. Because to actively have a high level of compassion, it really takes a very deep level of forgiveness, of understanding, of acceptance, of like of those kind of things, because it's very difficult to continually be that way, especially when the blinders are kind of off and you see the world for what it is, or for how people are. But for me, understanding that a lot of the negative things that I see in the world are, I shouldn't say a lot, pretty much all the negative things in the world are a direct reaction to fear in some way, shape, or form, makes it easier to try to present that compassion or empathy or awareness to those people. But I'm not always successful at it. I fall short all the time. But it's definitely an honorable superpower to have.
Yeah, and I agree completely. I mean, growing up, I would never even heard the word empath and didn't know what it was until, probably, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago. And that's another reason I was so shy as well. And I became so introverted. And in high school, I was mute at times and didn't speak because I felt everybody's stuff. And then oftentimes I would feel people's stuff, and I would know what people were struggling with, but I wasn't aware of what was happening. I wasn't aware of my awareness, as well as I saw at times where these people would say something different or in opposition or act different than how they were feeling inside. And I didn't understand this when I was younger, but now that I'm looking back, I was like, I think I felt like it was hard to trust people because I was so emotional and, and sensitive, and, told I was too sensitive and things like that as well. But then also looking at people and being like, I could feel their emotions, feel their stuff, and really be in tune with what's going on. Not recognizing I was in tune with them, but also not recognizing but I guess maybe subconsciously recognizing that they were acting and speaking in a different way than what they were feeling. And they were doing all this contradictory stuff. And I was just confused. I was confused as a child. And then I just became shy and introverted and, didn't really talk to a lot of people and never really opened up much to people because I was just, I saw it at home and then, I saw it often around me and I didn't get it. And I just felt uncomfortable because there's so many mixed signals probably coming in that my body and my subconscious was probably like, like it was uncomfortable, I'm sure, in some sort of way. I think what I see time and time again is, we have these gifts, we have these superpowers, and when we don't use them or aren't trained in them, then that energy gets backed up. So, no matter what it may be, it's, again, we're all unique in our own ways, but that energy just becomes backed up in some way, backed up in our systems. So, I'm sure that's what happened to me as a kid for sure. And, I wasn't trained in it or anything. So yeah, but it's again, it's a beautiful thing because now I see it. Yes, it's challenging even as an adult to be, a sensitive and empath and all those things, but it's also, I see it as a beautiful gift, and I see it, I see myself as a healer and gifted in this way.
I think that's a very important wow, that was worked out. A very important point that you brought up about kind of those gifts. If you don't utilize them, the energy backs up. And for me, with the mental health thing and the addiction thing overall, I really feel that those things manifested because I didn't have the tools to navigate how to use some of my natural abilities well. And I think that's one of the things that there's a quote about the mind, and it says like, the mind is a cruel master or something. And it's talking about like being in control of your mind. What is it? Mind is a beautiful servant or a cruel master. And it's kind of like those gifts. Like for me, since I didn't know how to cultivate those gifts, they kind of went malignant or festered into this unhealthy way to where I had to learn a different way to relate with them. But the interesting thing to me, and I will always find this fascinating, is my disease or my gifts had some kind of fail-safe mechanism to where if they went to a certain point of festering, that it would almost trigger like this factory reset on me to where like I lost my mind. I completely lost everything, but through that factory reset, I learned how to integrate those gifts into my life into a way to help me and then channel that wisdom to help other people on their own path. And that, like, it's so fascinating to me how dynamic the mind is, where it's like, dude, you're screwing shit up right now, Ross. We're gonna do this. This is all out of love, but we gotta reset, clear the cache, reset the system, and then we'll let you get up and running again. It's fascinating to me how that works.
Well, even think of the word checks and balances maybe as well. Huh. I feel like my mind's just going, in a ton of different ways with what you're just saying. It's like I had an aha moment of like, checks and balances. And like you said, it's, what'd you say?
Fail safe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I don't know. My mind's just like trying to, it's kind of those big aha moments that I don't 100% get, but it's triggering some things in a good way. Like, there's some lessons there for me to hear and tune into. But yeah, I think I was in a Facebook group, and there's this woman that is in charge of the group, and she had like 5 diseases that she was diagnosed with. And when she started using her gifts and following her passions and her life dreams, all of those diseases were gone. All of them she was cured from. So again, and I hear time and time again, that again, it's just energy gets backed up, it gets imbalanced. So again, if we look at the Eastern instead of, the Western kind of mindset and, medicine, and really look at the Eastern, it's like, it's, you know, it's an imbalance, or there's a dis-ease, you know, a dis-ease happening in the body, a disharmony. It's an imbalance. And when you look at it this way, again, look at nature. You just, what do? You do something to bring it back into balance, into harmony. It's not, you know, again, I think our society has a mindset of things are chronic, and, you know, we're trying so hard to cover up these symptoms that are just feedback, and trying to put, my boyfriend talks about putting the band-aids. We're just putting little band-aids over everything, and we're like, oh, put a band-aid on this part of our body and put a band-aid on this part of our body. And it's like, well, like you were saying earlier, the root of it is something that happened, you know, you know, this trauma that happened a long time ago is what I'm dealing with, the effects. And I see that too. Somebody I was life coaching, he just went to the doctor, and he had high blood pressure. And as we did the inner work and did a life coach session, we determined that this high blood pressure happened, that he was dealing with as an adult at this moment, is due to, you know, something in the subconscious of when he was abused as a child. So our body is physically reacting and thinking we're in this danger, or we're in this, you know, unsafe environment of something, if we, you know, were abused at a young age, or abused when we were younger. So everything is recorded, you know, recorded in our subconscious. Everything's recorded. Things are recorded in our cellular level, our DNA strands. So the things that we're dealing with now can be from our great grandparents, things that are passed down to us. Again, not only we are receipt of everything, all of our transactions, we're also a receipt of, you know, our society and our ancestors and those that happened before us. Things are passed down. So some of the emotions or some of the belief systems that we have are things that, you know, either happened in our childhood or could have happened to, you know, our great grandparents, that things are just passed down. And yeah, so it's good to be aware of that and learn that, and, you know, kind of understand that a bit more, so that we can get to these, you know, shift these energies and get to these hidden wounds that we have below the surface.
Yeah, it's a lot of self-healing really is kind of ancestral healing in lots of ways, which is kind of what you touched on. And I have this concept where I call it trickle-down trauma, where it's kind of like what you were talking about it being present before. And my definition of trauma is the one that Dr. Gabor Mate uses. Are you familiar with him?
No, I'm not.
He might be somebody worth checking out. If I remember, I'll send you his name after this, because I think you would enjoy some of his stuff. But he talks about trauma is things that should have happened that didn't, or things that didn't happen that should have. And when you really look at trauma in that capacity, it opens it up and makes it such a wider thing, where it becomes everybody's encountered some levels of trauma in their life. And really, it's a matter of what does that mean to us and how can we heal from it? I just find that concept fascinating, because then it makes a lot more sense to why everybody reacts differently and why everybody has these different things, because different things affect different people differently. And for me, like, one of the traumas I really had to deal with was my dad telling me one time that I never finish anything. That fucked me up for years of my life.
Yep.
It's just like echoing and echoing and echoing. And now it's like, even still today, even with awareness of that and understanding that I finish things, I'll be like, I don't finish it. I got to finish this, which it can be good if I'm doing it for the right reasons, but it can also be semi-neurotic and unhealthy if I'm not.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, I was told I was too sensitive. So it was one conversation by, you know, my dad and my godfather who, you know, I was emotional. I was upset about something, and they were, you know, kind of just poke a little fun at me. And like you were saying too, I took things very personal and very sensitive, and told I was too sensitive, and I took that to heart. And, you know, so I carried that, and you know, I carried that with me, like, oh, I'm too sensitive. I shouldn't be feeling this many emotions, or I shouldn't be this emotional, or, you know, so I suppressed my emotions for a while, and, you know, had to learn how to, you know, I had to learn emotional awareness and emotional health. And, you know, so overcome that for sure. But yeah, again, it's something I carried with me for a long time. And yeah, it could be, I mean, that's again, you know, I like that you shared, because I'm always looking for a definition. Because yeah, in my training we use the word trauma, and but it's like, you know, again, it's like it could be little things, that just one statement that somebody says that we carry with us, and you know, we believe it to be true. So you know, explaining that to people is very important. So you know, I definitely appreciate sending that, yeah, doctor's information to me.
Yeah,
So.
his stuff is fascinating. One of the other talks he does, this is kind of off on a tangent. It's called The Myth of Normal, and he talks about how like normal is absolute bullshit, and he brings up lots of good examples of it. But I definitely resonate with that. There's something else that I really wanted to touch on with what you said, but because my mind sometimes just does what it wants to do. I guess if I was supposed to say it, I would remember. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I do have a couple more questions for you. If you had to summarize your life experience into like 2 or 3 words, or like your personal philosophy or whatever, into 2 or 3 words on the spot, what would they be?
So summing up my life in 2 to 3 words.
No pressure.
I'd say transformation is a big one for me. I mean, I love personal transformation, but I commit to it every single day. I commit to transforming myself, growing myself in some way, shape, or form. So what I've done since last October, I've done 30-day challenges for myself. And so, well, it started with 90 days of consecutively of yoga. So just getting back into kind of a movement and exercise routine. I've dealt with a lot of health issues in my life. And so things got really bad. So, you know, kind of exercise and movement and kind of fell to the side a little bit, but it's something I love doing. I love exercising. I love moving, but I was too sick for it for a while. But coming back to that, so doing that 90-day challenge of yoga every day, and then since then I just started 30-day challenges. So 30-day challenges to grow myself and transform myself and commit to that on a daily basis, and be like, okay, how can I, you know, step into a new version of myself today? What can I do to kind of, you know, challenge myself a little bit and grow myself and, you know, become a better person, learning something new, trying something new, and really just transforming myself. And, you know, it's definitely a testament when I saw somebody recently and they saw me and they're like, man, you're so much happier. You're so, you know, you're just so much happier than I saw you last time. And then, you know, people who see me, who, you know, when they see me again, they're like, man, you've changed. You know, you know, so there's definitely people are seeing it as well. Like, oh, you just, you know, you changed. And I feel like I mean, I'm a totally different person than I was, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, and then go back another 5 years. I was a completely, like, I mean, you know, I've just changed so much, and I commit to that transformation. And you know, I want to be at the end of my life and just look at it and be like, yes, I did awesome. I did so many different things, and I'm just so happy that I just embraced life and lived life. But a part of that is transforming and growing, is, you know, and evolving and making yourself better, and you know, doing things that, you know, are a little bit outside your comfort zone at times as well. So yeah, so these 30-day challenges that I do, you know, are kind of a summary of a lot of things I've done in my life. Is just I've transformed so much. And yeah, transformed since, you know, just so much over time. And I love personal transformation. So yeah, so that's one word. Let's see. I mean, service. Service would be another word. I think, like I said, when growing up, Mother Teresa has been my role model, and she's been my biggest role model. And I think I've always, since I was a young child, I was raised Catholic and in the Catholic Church and went to Catholic schooling, and just, I was surrounded by service, and also, like I said, with my role model and everything. And I think service, like serving and helping people, is something that I love doing, and I embrace it 100%. And when someone needs help, yeah. But also, I had to learn to really, because I really kind of believed, I think for a while, that I had to help everybody else and kind of put other people first. But I came to a place during my personal transformation of learning self-care. And so I think it's a beautiful thing to, embrace self-care and allow yourself to take care of yourself. And Lisa Nichols is one of my role models now. She's a motivational speaker, but she says, fill your cup up first, fill that saucer, and then, serve with your overflow. So fill your cup up and serve with that overflow. And so as I continue to take care of myself, I can, all this overflow that's coming over the cup is how I can serve other people. So I'm serving myself and being a better version of myself all the time, and really living my, this dream lifestyle that I love in, every aspect. And, sure, there's going to be ups and downs, but really just on a consistent, like overall, more of a, this happiness and doing what I love to do. And then, serving from that place. So really offering that service. So, providing service for me and self-care, and then, really serving other people and helping with wherever I can help.
I like both of those answers a lot. And I like the quote that you said about self-care, like how you have to have your cup full and then serve with the overflow. I've heard one in recovery where they talk about you have to put your air mask first on. If a plane's going down, you have to put your mask on first before you help other people. But it's the same principle. And I find that really is true. And one of the biggest issues that I faced in my life was always wanting to help other people, but putting other people before me, and then me getting burnt out by helping those people, and then getting pissed off at those people for me taking those actions. And it was like this very self-defeating cycle, because obviously they thought I was freaking crazy for helping them getting mad at them, which that kind of is crazy. And I have the certification to prove that that's a true statement about me. But no, anyhow, one of the other things that I thought was neat is there's this synergistic effect between transformation and service that I've found in my own life, where from doing what's called hospitals and institutions, bringing meetings to people who have drug issues, bring those meetings into either hospitals or jails or things like that, doing that type of service work and being present, it helps transform me in a way, because I get to hold space for these people and offer this service to them, transforms them. And this has like this feedback loop of good vibes. But one of the key things really is what you had said about making sure that your cup's filled first, because you can burn yourself out. And practicing self-care, knowing when to apply yourself or when to reserve and give yourself more attention is crucial to growing. There's a quote by Muhammad Ali where he says, if a man knows the same thing at 30 at 50 that he did at 30, he wasted 20 years of his life. And it really makes me like reflect on how I've changed more probably in the past 2 years of my life than I really had in the past 20 collectively. And then it makes me sad too for people that like I might encounter who are essentially the same people on the surface. I'm sure internally they might be a little bit different, but on the surface are the same as they were when I say went to high school with them or things like that. And it's like, what is that like? I don't like, it doesn't even feel comfortable to think about like what it's like. So it's good to be on the other side of that and to be dynamic and to be like what Heraclitus talks about, and like the sense of the river. No man can ever step in the same river twice, and the man changes, the river changes. So that's the direction I want to be in. I want to be fluid. I want to be water, like Bruce Lee said. One of the go ahead.
I was gonna say, and even like my goal so I do group meditation journeys, and I call them meditation journeys because every meditation is different, and it's a journey into, different types of meditation. But again, my goal, even after 30 minutes of going through a meditation journey, my goal is for people to leave transformed, to have this mini retreat where they can walk away, emptying something out, releasing something, and then, filling themselves back up with much stronger, stronger energy, stronger things in building themselves back up. So, even in that 30 minutes, I think that's why, stories are so powerful. And there's so many powerful tools that are out there, music as well, that can shift our mindset and shift our mood and and transform us. And even quotes, you've been using a lot of quotes. These things can really shift us in a very short amount of time. So again, I think it's so important for people to really become self-aware and be like, okay, what is it that I really am passionate about and I like, and so that they can have those transformations, those short things that shift them and transform them in a small amount of time. But it's it could be different, what transforms me or what transforms you. It could be the same as well, but again, it's really seeing what each person connects with. So again, something I so value is really teaching people and helping people find out what it is that that really resonates with them, that really relates to them, that really helps them through this journey of life.
I definitely think that's very rewarding work, and it's very honorable to take that approach. If people wanted to connect with you for your services, for your business, or if they're within the local area, how can they find your information? You're on Facebook. I can put a link down there below. Do you have a website as well?
I just use Facebook, and it's been working out great. So yeah, the Facebook, I have a local business page, as well as it does have my services on there. So I do, like I said, group meditation, and I do wellness workshops that are local. And then the personalized one-on-one sessions, it could be in person, it could be on the phone. So that one can be I've sat with people who are in a different country and had life coaching sessions. So those are able to be, international anywhere in the world. So yeah, my Facebook page, like I said, I love Instagram, so I can give you that as well. We can put the link below. Both of them are my business page, Rewind Release Rewild. And yeah, Instagram, I just, the visuals, I love pictures. And so yeah, so those are the best ways to reach me. And, feel free if whatever you're struggling with or feel stuck, I'm here to help you through that and help you discover as well what your gifts are, as well as how to live a thriving lifestyle. So yeah, a one-on-one personalized session is an awesome. And I think it's also important, as I said, like a process. So also, signing up for a couple sessions so we can really dive in deep. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll put that in there when I get this posted. And I've asked everybody else that's been on to close the show with their own words. You don't have to, but if you feel compelled to, you can take us out. Before that, though, thank you for coming on, Leah. I appreciate your time.
Oh, yeah. No, I just want to say thank you as well. me being on a podcast is new to me. I did a Facebook, somebody interviewed me on Facebook, but again, this is very new to me. So I very much, and I'll be honest, I was a little nervous because I was like, this is new to me. And sometimes, just a little bit of nerves. I was like, okay, thinking about the technology, how's the technology going to go? Like, is there going to be an audience, not an audience? So, just my mind going a little bit. But I mean, since I got on it, there's no nerves at all, and all of that went away. So you just, you made this very welcoming, very hospitable. You made it so that I could just answer these questions very easily. And I mean, it's just, it was, one of my 30-day challenges, I did practicing the art of conversation. So literally for, an entire month, I just met with people and had deep conversations. And so, this felt like, one of those conversations where you have a conversation about, important things in life and, getting deeper into things, not just staying on the surface. So yeah, I have so much gratitude as well for having me on today. And closing, so just closing. Well, I say let's take a deep breath because meditation starts with breathing. So it's so important to just breathe. So we're inhaling through our nose, pausing at the top, and then exhale out of your mouth. They say there's a quote that says, one deep breath is meditation. So know that anytime you are going through a challenge, anytime you feel like you're struggling, anytime you feel like life is just not going your way, it is important to breathe. So take a deep breath. It is important to take time out and give yourself permission to pause and reflect. Give yourself permission to let go and empty out whatever doesn't serve you. Know that everything we struggle with, that we deal with, is just something we picked up. It's just like a program put into a computer. And guess what? We can change it. We can delete it. We can edit it. We can shift it. So anything that you're struggling with, or you're worried about, or anxious, or you're suffering from depression, or anything, abusive relationship, or something you dealt with in the past, anything can be rewritten. So you can rewrite the story. Anything can be emptied out and transformed. And then it's so important to follow your dreams, to know and to learn and discover yourself, to become self-aware, to be able to step into a better version of yourself and being able to serve yourself and live a beautiful life and feel alive, but also be of service to others and share your gifts. It is so important to share those gifts that you have. Just take a deep breath and soak it all in. Soak in your life, soak in this moment. And just embrace this beautiful moment, this present moment, right here, right now. Just embrace it, accept it, receive it. And just take a deep breath, soaking it in just a little bit more. Just feel what it's like to be at peace, to feel the calm. Feel what it's like to be completely just in your body, connected to the ground. Just feeling the moment, not thinking about anything, not needing to feel anything either. Just being neutral and present. And the breath, always return to that breathing anytime that you need it. Every moment is just like breathing, moving with the inhales and the exhales, moving with the flow of life. Let's end together with just one beautiful deep breath, inhaling through our nose and exhaling through our mouth. Wonderful. How are you feeling, Ross?
I feel really good. Thank you. I'm all kind of blissed out right now.
Perfect. That's what I'm going for.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you too.
Yeah.